This part of the Sculpto video introduction is about print settings. You can print stuff either using the web app. This is app.sculpto.dk. You log in with the same user use for the app. On the web app, you can upload STL files, and you also have the list of previously printed things. On your phone app, you have those same options, because essentially this page is the content you will find on the web app, which means you have your list of cute prints and then your own custom prints below. If you have several printers, keep in mind that there is your user. It has the printer number at top. So if you, let's see if I can find a place here. You can see these two have different numbers, and one of them is highlighted. I am currently on the one that's highlighted. That's probably why it is. You can also switch it into your printer, in which case it will only have the ones for the printer you currently are targeting. That is this one. This one has for all of your printers, if you have more than one. You can only add them to a printer of the same type. If you have two Sculpto Pluses, you have the option of printing it to the other one, I think. Mine don't coexist like that because one has a 1.4 and the other has a 1.6 also. If you want to not upload an STL, you also have the option of, there is a search and such, but I'm just gonna go into my favorites. Benchy is a very popular thing, and you can see there are some parts of him, but generally that is the one you use. And if this is a verified print, as it is called, then it will not normally show the print settings, but you can show them by pressing that one. And this is, if you want to remove the raft, this is where to click. And then you can just, set the settings the way you want. Print speed is not available on the web app. That is on the phone only. Let's just talk through these. Support, you can also press the question mark here. And it explains which is which. None is, of course, no support. Partial means that it will have support. Let's take an example. This beautiful bear. Support, say, if this was going down, I would need to have support for the head, otherwise it would print mid-air. If, say, the belly was rounded more, then I would need to have support between part of the print itself and the thing. When you need support outside of because this has a base, outside of the print itself, say if the head was tilting down, then this is called partial support. Full support means it would also add support between the belly, you can't see, between the belly and the plate. I probably would. This is something that the slicer settings figure out where support is needed. There was recently someone who had a print with, it was like some hands that formed a heart, but there was a plate under them, and the thumbs were missing and the edges of the fingers were missing because there wasn't any support. In such a case, you need to have full support. The strengths are weak, normal, and strong. There are none of these that are 0%, and there are none that are 100. The strength is the infill. Again, there is it's perhaps not the most informative. It is how much you put into a otherwise solid object. I have a print that's gone wrong here that sort of shows it. See this in the STL, this is a solid object. But you can see it makes this webbing instead because solid things take up a lot of filament, and generally you don't need very much infill. Most things do fine without it. There are some things where it is an advantage to have them become like heavy, and then there are some where it's an advantage to have them light. Say for this, for instance, is hollow. Because there's no reason for it not to be. Currently there is a thing that's sort of a, I'm assuming it's someone's tweaked some settings for the normal and they've forgotten to update weak. Currently, weak has a bit more infill than normal, which means if you have something large and you put it on weak, it will be heavier, use more filament than if you set it on normal. They will probably fix this at some point. Then we have the quality, and that too has it actually says how thick the layers are. I am unsure whether this is per printer because these settings will be different for the 0.4 millimeter nozzle and the 0.6 millimeter nozzle. But that's basically how fine details you get, and it's the layer thickness, so it greatly affects how much time is spent printing. Let's see if I have some good examples. I probably don't. I do mostly print in fast or normal, but this one is actually printed in fine because there's a lot of like roofing and tiling details that we wanted to keep. Yeah. But you know, it's you choose it depending on what it is you want from it. I don't have any good examples, I'm sorry. So print speed, that's a new thing that was added over this summer, the summer of 2020. I've not had a situation where it makes sense for me to move it. Yeah. You know, it's, you can try it out, but I just leave it there. I know that it's orange. There are some people who say that they can't get it to print unless they change the speed to something that allows them to print. Like if I change this here, you can see it goes down. And then once I pass 4 millimeters per second, that's 80%, turns green. And if I move it the other way, it turns red. Yeah, well, they've chosen this as the default setting. It works alright for me. Then you have the option to remove the raft or not. If you have a modern day build plate, remove the raft. You have no use for it. It will just take up your filament and your time. When you remove the raft, you get a brim instead. The difference between print and queue is whether or not you get the color codes immediately. I'm just gonna queue this. Let's just, this is Benchy. Benchy does not need filament. No filament. Let's keep him weak, and yeah, I suppose we can print him fast. Ooh, yeah, this is a dangerous bar. I did not intend to move that, but apparently I did. There we go. So I'm just gonna cue him. Okay, so Benchy has been printed many times, so he is very quick to get in the queue. There is a setting on your profile. you go up into the menu and settings. And here you have this toggle for show only verified models. Mine is toggled off because otherwise when I put stuff on Thingiverse, I can't print them because no one else has done so. I'm just gonna use my favorites again, because I have this one that I've looked at. If you notice these symbols up here, that means it's an unverified model. It also says so here. These ones will by default have the print settings available because someone has to be the first, and if you print one of these, you will after the print be asked if it was like you expected. So this is how you can help verify things. Yeah, a thing to be aware of is that right now I have like a glitter filament, and if I go into my printer thing here, if I take my cue from this one, I have this Tang Garden Minis that was, I think I've shown you this before. It's been a long video day. Okay, if I say I want to print that again, then it will go up here in my print queue, and I'll just move it to the top. The thing is, this was sliced for old filament, and if I want to start this print, it says error. You tried to print something that was sliced for another type of filament, and well, so you need to keep track of this. You can press that button and you can see the type of filament that it is sliced for. And you can see here this is regular glitter. So this is something to be aware of when you queue things. It will be queued with whatever type of filament is currently loaded. So that's just, you know, that's one of the reasons why you have to pick your type of filament. Yeah. I will again point out you need to stay with your printer until it starts. So if I am to start Benchy, and I have green, purple, green, and red. Green, purple, green, red. So, leave that there. As I said, generally you don't need the raft. One of the issues with rafts is that they can be difficult to take off. This is supposedly even more difficult with a new filament because it is a bit stronger. Did I clean the build plate? Sure, let's say I did. I so cleaned it. I've at least looked at it and seen there's nothing there. Yeah, so you can hopefully see this. There's these things at the bottom. You can also see them on this one. Maybe, yeah. This is printed on the original Sculpto I had. This is why, actually this could be printed on them now, but at least I posted a make of this in December, so at least at that time I had so many issues with either the center of my printer or we had a limited printing area that I was not able to print them in one piece, so I had to make them in two. But you see there's a raft there. And you know, this was also printed with a raft. If you have your calibration right and such, then they come off, or at least came off, easy. As I said, I've been told that the new type of filament, it sticks a little better. But this is printed without a raft. At least, you know, you can see this is entirely smooth. There is no reason to not just, you know, leave the raft off. Same thing goes for this one. This is also without the raft. What you do risk is if there is a bit of colored filament on your plate, it can get picked up. I have a worse example of that on this one. Yeah. Just make sure parts don't fall off here. But if you're okay with that, then, I mean, there's really no need to be super picky about cleaning your plate. If I wanted to paint this, I printed this in what's called neutral in the old filament, because that way light can come through it. I can put light inside my cleric tower here. Yeah. Do I want to say something else about this? Yeah. Okay, that would be Benchy starting. Yeah. So let's just... I think I can do like this. Might as well take you guys through what I do when I start prints. If you're quick at this time, you can still wipe it with alcohol if you really feel a need to do that. As I said, I don't usually. What I do is I look at it from this angle, and then I look at whether or not, there we go, it starts with the brim. That looks very round, so I'm just gonna adjust that down a little. There we go. I have a video on doing that, if you're unsure what I just did. Okay. So you can see the brim, the outer ring, was very round, especially up on this side, which would have, I mean, Benchy is such a small print, it's not much of a risk, but it could have made him fall off. Yeah. So that's a bit about print settings. As I said, I rarely ever use a raft because why would I? So yeah. Let's just, you know, it started, so I guess I can leave if I want to.